Welcome to Darklaw Dominion, where we dive deep into the shadows, the darkest parts of ourselves that we rarely speak of, yet we all feel. I'm your host, Dominion, and in this series, we're not afraid to face the raw truths of our mental health, the battles that rage within, and the weight we carry when no one else is watching. This is where we confront the fears, the pain, the trauma we hide, and uncover the power that lies within the darkness. Because only by facing it can we truly heal and rise. Let's take this journey together. Welcome to the depths of Darklaw Dominion.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Creative Dominion podcast with your host, Dominion. And welcome again to Season 2 of the Darklaw Dominion Mental Health Series. So excited to be back for the second season of Darklaw Dominion Mental Health. And, coming up soon, January 9th is the 1-year anniversary of the Creative Dominion podcast. So been a wonderful almost year with the wonderful audience of the Creative Dominion. And we have a very special guest for episode 2 of the Darklaw Dominion Mental Health series. And so again, season 1, we recovered a variety of topics, and we're just gonna, keep compounding on that in season 2. And so we have Mrs. Monica Mangelson out of the Colorado Springs, Colorado area. How are you doing today, Monica?
I'm doing so good. I'm so honored to be here, and congrats on coming up to a year of your podcast. That's awesome, phenomenal, and I'm really stoked to be here with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on the Creative Dominion. And again, welcome to the Darklaw Dominion Mental Health series. Can you tell the audience a little bit about who Monica Mangelson is?
Absolutely. So I am an applied neuroscience trained and life purpose certified coach. I'm also a world traveler. I'm a big foodie. I love people. I love learning about different cultures, and I love having adventures. And that's who I am in a nutshell.
Awesome. And for those of you that listen, when she said neuro, some of you were like, neuro what? Again, she's going to break down neuroscience for us and go through her expertise. And before we get into that, as I start off with every episode, I'm pretty sure there's somebody listening that said, wow, I don't even know what she just said. Everything doesn't resonate with every person, but I encourage everyone listening and viewing today to take just one thing that's said here today to apply daily to your life to, as I always say, to create the domain of your mind to reveal the true light that shines. And in the Darklaw Dominion Mental Health series, we dive deep into those darkest parts of the mind and to allow you to heal deeply, wholeheartedly, and be rooted and become the person that you are meant to become. And I love what she said in her little short bio. Life's an adventure. And so we welcome you into episode 2 of season 2 of Darklaw Dominion Mental Health series. And again, take some notes, look in the mirror. I encourage everyone as she's speaking just to look in the mirror and think of not just yourself, but maybe you have a family member, sibling, a coworker, childhood friend, etc., that may relate to what is being said here today. And so with that being said, what has inspired you the most to become a certified coach?
Yeah, that's such a broad question, and I've been thinking about exactly what experience I want to share, because I do feel like there were several really pivotal experiences that really led me to where I am today. And I would have to say the one that is calling to me the most to share it happened actually when I was a kid. I was 15 years old, and I grew up in a very conservative, very religious community where I was taught very explicitly that my role as a woman was to be seen and not heard. And my role was to get married young and have lots of babies. And that's all I knew. That's what I thought my purpose was. That's what I thought I was put on this earth to do. And I was okay with it. Honestly, I was like, all right, that's my God-given right. I'll do that. I can do that. And when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with a medical condition that basically I was told in a very dry, sterile manner that you would never be able to have kids. And for most people, that's devastating. For me, it threw me, I just thought I was the scum of the earth, because I really loved the idea that my whole role was to to have kids. And so all of a sudden to have some stranger tell me that I would never be able to have kids was so heartbreaking for me. And I just thought that somehow it made me unworthy and somehow it invalidated my entire life, my entire experience. Everything that I had was just for nothing. And so fast forward a couple of years, I lived in extreme self-loathing. I hated myself. I was in such a dark place. I ended up going when I was 19 years old. I moved out of the country to live in Peru for a year and a half to serve a mission for my church. And I remember it was such an intense experience, but I remember one particular time I had been there for about a year. I had like 6 months left. So I felt really confident. I knew the culture really well. I knew the language really well. I felt like I really knew what I was doing. And I went in and I made a new friend in this little tiny town in Peru. And I was talking to him and he was sharing about how he had just lost custody of his daughter. And he was bawling his eyes out. And I remember him looking at me. And it's the only way I can describe it is I had this like soul connection with this guy. Like I was like, I see you completely. I see your pain. I understand your pain. I feel your pain. And it's the same as mine. And it's just this like empty hopelessness. And from that moment on, I knew that everything that I had been through was to help other people. And that has totally shaped my journey and just looking for ways to be a person who can make someone's life better, to help their journey and help them along their journey and to help them find ways to heal and ways to enjoy and embrace the fullness of life despite the terrible things that may have happened to them. And so that I can pinpoint all of the decisions I based my life on to that day. And I really believe that that is what led me to coaching.
Awesome. Well, I love that you said that because, again, sometimes it just goes right into, the Darklaw Dominion because, certain things happen and we think it's the end of the line. You found out that at 15 and it's kind of that epiphany of, oh, what do I do now? Again, you know, as children, we're essentially taught a dream and we're taught to go after that dream. And again, for you, it was, to be the conservative Christian, wife, have kids, help them with their homework, the traditional values and core principles. And, you could have looked at that as a very, I'm just gonna just shut down. But I want to tell the audience something. Life's all about how you react to certain situations. When you found that out at 15, and we all go through our ups and downs, but you allowed that moment at that time. You went through the valley, if you will. And when you met that guy in Peru at 19, again, short 4 years later, you realize that, hey, now I have the ability, I have the vision to get to the mountain. And again, for you, it took 4 years. And I want to encourage anybody listening and viewing that, there's no time stamp on when that'll happen for you. And it might not be, that sort of like intimate, like I met a friend in a small town type situation. It could be, sometimes it's alone. Sometimes it's just a vision. Sometimes it's a daydream. Sometimes it's a tragic event, a family member passing away. It could be, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a partner, leaving you high and dry or something like that. And what we have to realize is that inside our minds, we get to choose. Everything ends and begins with us. And I love that you allow that connection to allow you to persevere in life. You're your own worst enemy. Nobody can do anything worse than what you do to yourself every day you look in the mirror. And so you can choose your heart and choose, hey, at that moment when you had that epiphany with that friend, you could have said, oh, whatever, just gave him a blank stare and said, well, sucks for you, or, tough luck. Life gives you lemons, right? Or like in your situation, you took that as motivation and it's kind of like that light bulb clicking and it clicked for you and you were just starting to scratch the surface of finding the purpose for your life. And so I just want to encourage everyone listening and viewing that, you know, that moment's going to happen for everyone. You just don't know when. But I love what you said is continue to pursue Christ, continue to help others. I know there's a Bible verse, don't get weary in well doing. And you continued even going through your lowest points and your darkest moments. You were still putting yourself in position to meet that friend, to receive that blessing and receive that guidance and that spark, that light bulb, if you will. And for those listening and viewing, I just want to say that in order for a light bulb to come on, you got to have electricity. And so I want you to look in the mirror as you're listening and viewing, and what around in your life, whether it's the people, whether it's the environment, what will allow you to succeed. And so look at that. And if you're just around a bunch of junk, then you have to understand that your light bulb's not going to come on because you have no conduction and no source for the light to flicker.
That's so powerful because so oftentimes change does not actually start from within as much as we want to believe it does. It starts with our environment. It starts with the people that we're around. It starts with the type of environment that we're living in. And so if you want to make changes, the first and honestly one of the easiest things to do is start to look at how you can change your environment, change the people that you're around, change the people that you're listening to. Being here and listening to this podcast is a great first step in changing your environment and changing your life.
And I love what you said that too, because when it comes to people, I was always told, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. And so if you think all 5 of them are idiots, then you're the 6th idiot, right? And so wherever you want to go in life, wherever you want to achieve, you have to put people in position to help you get there. If you want to be, you know, a famous musician, you need to hang around people that are great at music, right? You don't want to hang around people that just listen to only YouTube and don't know anything about the instrument or the music that you're trying to compose. Then you'll never be Mozart if you don't know anybody that plays piano or you don't study piano. And so like she's saying is, everything in life is baby steps. You have to take the first step and take that leap of faith. And like she said, it doesn't happen just within. It's going to be hard. I think another thing is people think that you can just, whether it's weight loss, whether it's money, whether it's, a spouse or a partner or a car, a house, etc., or just peace, happiness, whatever that is that we're looking to achieve. We think we can just go to social media and like clap our hands and pay $1,000 and I'm happy and now my life's fulfilled. In reality, we have to understand that, life takes time and it's going to be a journey, and we have to be willing to, you can't accept the role without the responsibility. A lot of times we look at what we want in life and we don't know the responsibility it takes to not just get there, but to maintain and be steady with that new level that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to realize that it's not linear. There's going to be days where you feel like you're thriving and you're doing fantastic things and you're learning and growing and you're able to implement everything and you're able to juggle all the plates and keep everything spinning. And then there's going to be days where you feel like you're just trying to make it through the day. And that happens all along your journey. And it's so important to be kind to yourself in that journey. I just did a training on this actually with some of my clients, but I talked a lot about it's really similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you have to have your basic needs met first before you can move on to the other needs and eventually get to the place of self-actualization. It's really similar in the journey of self-development. Is you have to have basic needs met first. You have to be secure. You'll have your survival mode days where you're just trying to get through the day, and then you'll be able to maybe jump a couple of levels and maybe you'll be thriving and you'll be doing really good, and the other days you'll be down a couple levels and you're just maintaining your basic habits, and that is okay. That's human. And it's so important to be kind to yourself in that process, because what happens is we're like, dang, yesterday was a great day and today I feel like I've taken steps back and I'm not thriving like I was yesterday, and then we beat ourselves up. which is keeping us in that survival mode. Where if instead we can say, wow, what do I need today? How can I love myself better today? We can push ourselves on to the next level. And then we can push ourselves on to the next level again. And then we can just constantly be aware of where we are and constantly be helping ourselves get to the place where we feel like we can make amazing things happen and where we can really thrive.
And again, that it just starts, with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to get those basic needs met. And we have to have pride um, in, meeting those needs. You have to have a sense of urgency, a sense of, willingness to, again, accept that responsibility for that role. For example, if you're trying to buy a $1 million home, there's certain, checkpoints and parameters, whether it's credit score, whether it's capital, whether it's, just different. Obviously, you have to have a job, obviously, or you have to have, the funds to not just buy the $1 million house, but to maintain the taxes, the bills, what are you going to put inside the house? How are you going to eat? How are you going to live? There's not just, oh, I got this empty space, a lot that costs $1 million. It's what fulfillment am I going to utilize within this space that I've just acquired? And also accepting the responsibility to maintain in that space. And like I said, what you said earlier in your bio with your neuroscience, I kind of want to get into that in more in depth because I know there's some viewers on here that are listening as well. There's like, what does that all mean? I heard it on Google, but or I spelt it right in the spelling bee a couple years ago, but what does that mean? And so kind of go deep into what you work on with your clients and, just some different, maybe some tips and just different, you know, expenditures on, you know, how you utilize your expertise.
Mhm. Yeah, of course. I am fascinated by the brain. I just think it is the most powerful thing on the planet. And the more we can understand how our brain works, the more we can harness that power and the more we can make amazing things happen in our lives and in our communities. And so my goal is to go out there. I know it's not for everyone. I know it's complicated and a lot of people have other things on their minds and it just doesn't call to them like it calls to me. And so my goal is to go out there and understand how the brain works. And then I take it and I break it down and I make it super actionable for people so that they can harness this power of their brain and make amazing things happen. So, my coaching is really customized. So it really depends on what people are looking for and what they're needing. I am working with a client whose goal is to lose weight. But the foundation of losing weight was understanding why she was turning to food for comfort. And so then we can look at, okay, here's figure out why you're turning to food for comfort. And now we can understand, okay, we're looking at changing your habits, and habits are things that happen in your brain. So let's look at how we can figure out how to set up your environment. Let's look at how we can retrain your brain, and let's look at how we can make things happen for you and heal some old wounds. So it's this whole kind of spectrum that we work on together of how can we heal the past, how can we work on the present, and how can we prepare for the future for when things come up and are triggering. And there's a whole process to it. And it's such a fun thing to get to know my clients, get to know what they're struggling with, what kind of areas they especially need help with. Some of my clients are very motivated, but they don't know what to do. And so then we're like, okay, how can we help you figure out what to do when you have this motivation? Some of my clients are lacking motivation. So we can say, okay, motivation is never an internal thing. You can never talk yourself into motivation. It's a different part of your brain. If you're ever having an inward dialogue with yourself, it is a different part of your brain than the part of your brain that takes action. So we need to know, okay, if I'm having this dialogue with myself, I need to put into place something, some kind of trigger to say, okay, I'm having this dialogue that I really need to go do the dishes and I can't bring myself to do it. Maybe I'll have a countdown. And I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I get up and I start moving. And once you start moving, the side of your brain that actually lights up when you're taking action is going to kick into gear. It's going to switch over. And that's how you build motivation instead of sitting here trying to like talk yourself into it. So it's things like that. I don't know if I really answered your question. There's so many different directions you can go with it, really just depending on what the needs are and what the different struggles are and what resonates. Everyone is so unique and so individual. And so there are some basic principles that apply for everyone, but it's finding a way to make it fit into your life and to find the things that resonate the most with you so that you can use these tools effectively and that you can make changes with these tools.
One word or one sentence that came to mind as you were speaking is just start with why. Again, start with why. It's a great book by Simon Sinek, but why do you want to lose weight? Why do you, like you said, why do you eat? Why do
Mhm.
you run to food when you're, sad or stressed or anxiety or, you know, what makes you tick? Just like when the brain, like, how are you wired? Wired That Way is another good book, studying the brain as well. And I love what you said is like just fully customizable and dependent on what you're looking to accomplish. Again, accepting the role along with the responsibility and going in with the plan of action of, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you help me create actionable steps to get there?
Mhm.
And with that being said, what is the most challenging part of coaching, you would say?
The hardest part for me is when I see how awesome my clients are. My clients are so cool. And I see how great they are and they don't see it themselves. And that is something that I work on with every single one of my clients across the board is just helping them understand how cool they are and how powerful they are. And sometimes it's so much easier for someone else to see it than for you to see it in yourself. And so working on finding ways to help people understand that. And it's interesting, like just trying to fit it into different paradigms, different frameworks. I grew up super Christian. I still am very Christian. I have a very different viewpoint on religion now than I did, when I was a kid growing up. And so I'm able to speak to my clients who have a lot of Christian values and finding frameworks that they understand within their Christian values. And then I work with a lot of clients who are not religious at all, but are very spiritual. So then finding ways and the terminology to relate to them within their spirituality beliefs. And then I travel the world. And so I've lived in a lot of different places with a lot of different cultures. And so finding ways to find things that just resonate with my clients. Like that's my whole goal. I don't have a one size approach to it. So it can be tricky for me to find exactly what they need to understand their potential. And I'm the biggest hype girl. So if any of my clients are like not feeling themselves, I got them. I'm there to like hype them up. But it's more important for me to find ways for them to learn how to hype themselves up. So I would say that's the trickiest thing with coaching.
Awesome, awesome. I love that you said that because, like I said earlier, everything ends and begins with you. You're your greatest adversary or your greatest warrior, right? And so what we see looking back at the mirror, when we look in the mirror, you know, that is the framework of how we'll be successful or how we'll fail as well. So it's like that double-edged sword that constant battle of that good shoulder, bad shoulder on the angel and the other adversary on the other side, kind of going back and forth and kind of going back to, how you first started, you know, what were some challenges when you first started coaching that you overcame? And then what are some benefits that you've seen come to fruition from being able to persevere through those?
So there is a lot. Some of my biggest blocks, some of my biggest limiting beliefs that I had to rewrite were things like going back to my childhood, even just as a woman, am I allowed to make money? Am I deserving of making money? Because I was not taught that that was okay. And so I had to really work through those blocks as well as just sometimes I started this 4 years ago. And so I was like, man, am I good enough to call myself a coach? Am I good enough for this? am I actually helping people? And so I had to work through a lot of those limiting beliefs as well. And I think that is such an important struggle that all of us kind of have to go through is understanding that we are good enough and we do have these gifts and these talents, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And it gives us the tools to be able to cope with people not understanding us. Because not everyone's going to understand us, and that's 100% okay. Not everyone's going to understand the goals that we have and the aspirations we have for ourselves. And they're not supposed to. They're ours. They're our goals. They're our aspirations. It's our vision, our mission that we're achieving. Nobody else has to understand it. But being as social as we are, it can be very disheartening when people don't understand us. And so I feel like those tools that I learned in the very beginning stages of my business of just learning how to find confidence, learning how to do it without confidence and still just continue to show up and really learning to in the feedback I was getting from my clients instead of any naysayers that I might have had or my own like just listening to the own voice in my head. It was a very important skill for me to learn moving forward, and it's been fantastic, and now I get to help my clients with the same thing. Everything that I've gone through has come back up in coaching with my clients, and so it's a really rewarding full circle moment for me.
I love that you said that because, we all have to start somewhere. And I love that you were able to, persevere through that and continue to grow. And again, still growing again, only 4 years in, you know, you keep going, keep on keeping on is what my old pastor used to say, keep on keeping on. And so for those of you listening and viewing on here, if there's someone that's like, hey, I've been thinking about becoming a coach, or, maybe I became a coach and I'm just starting my business. What is some motivation and some tips that you would give to them, someone just starting out on how to get off to a great start?
Create a hype folder. So that was one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given is that anytime anybody says anything nice, anything that just makes you feel good, anybody who's commenting on your content being like, wow, I love this, or you look pretty today, or this helped me so much, or any testimonials or breakthroughs your clients have that they send you, screenshot it and put it in a folder because there are days where you're just going to feel down in the dumps. But you know what? You cannot stay there because you have had this calling to become a coach and people need you. People are waiting for you. And so if you have those days where you're like, I just don't know if I'm cut out for this, you can go back into that hype folder and you can read through the comments of people in their own words telling you how much you are helping them. And they can use that to build your confidence. The other thing I would say is get really clear on your messaging. Like speak to people as so one of the best pieces of marketing advice ever is when people tell you things, listen and then use their words in your marketing and speak to those people. Don't hold yourself back. Allow your message to be heard. So often we're like nervous about showing up on social media or showing up, on podcasts or showing up. Like I speak in a lot of summits, like it's nerve-wracking to put yourself out there to be a speaker for the first time. But know that people are looking for what you need. And the more you can get out there and speak to people, the more impact that you're going to have. And you're going to change so many lives. The ripple effect is outrageous because you help one person, everyone in their community improves. And then everyone in that community has their own community that improves. And the ripple effect is crazy. It's such a powerful force that we are creating. So don't ever let your lack of confidence stop you from that. And always, always, always follow that calling that you have to put yourself out there, to be a coach, to make whatever change. Maybe if you don't even want to be a coach, maybe you're just like, man, I really want to start a business though. And I want to start a dog washing business. And then you go and you start washing dogs, but you're creating an environment that's safe and happy for people. And that makes a difference. So I don't know, that was a whole lot of jumbled advice. If anybody is like, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about starting this business, come talk to me because I love, love, love beginner phase business, startup people are my favorite. So let's chat business.
Awesome. I love that you said that because, again, it's kind of like that eat, reach one, teach one principle of, being fruitful and multiplying. And what you utilize in your day-to-day life, maybe it's just a smile, maybe it's a hype word, maybe it's just some words of encouragement, then that brightens up. You never know what anybody's going through, especially with mental health. And, you know, you smile at somebody at the grocery store could, brighten their day, and then they go smile with somebody else. And then again, becomes that trickle effect of, making everybody operate at their most efficient self. And as a society, if we can lift each other up and allow each other to give each other that motivation and that confidence to push through and again, start the business or take that leap of faith and become a coach, regardless if you're shy and talking in front of people, or maybe you're afraid to get clients, or like in your situation, maybe you've never been told you can make money, or maybe, you were never told that, you could have a business, but operating outside the norm and taking that leap of faith and becoming, who you want to be. Again, it all begins and ends in you, not with what your family said, not with what your significant other said, not with what your friends or classmates said growing up. It's all what ends and begins what you want to be. And so you have to take that into consideration when you operate in any capacity. And one question I always love asking coaches: what is your greatest success story with a client?
That's a really good question. A couple stories immediately came to mind. The one that I think I'll share is more about this client that we've already talked about a little bit, who came to me. She's like, I just want to lose weight and I'm just so unmotivated. And so as we started to create kind of our foundation, we started with the foundation of learning how to love yourself, learning how to be your friend. And then we dove into, okay, why are you having a hard time losing weight? And it came down to, she had a mother who was extremely abusive. And her mother was never kind of warm and comforting like that every child needs. And so she found that comfort in food. And food essentially had been her parent and had been with her for the last 50 years of her life. And so we talked through like, okay, how can you take over that role of comforter and parent to yourself? And we did a lot of practices, and we did a lot of healing and worked through a lot of really tough things for her. And there were major changes. I remember one day in particular, she was like, I just feel inside me like there's this budding confidence that I've never had before. And then she started crying and she's like, Monica, I have to tell you that I have not enjoyed my life for the last 7 to 9 years. She's like, it's just been boring and it's just felt mundane and heavy. And I just have never been happy until I started working with you. And now I feel happy and I feel this confidence and I feel this love that's budding from within me. And I feel like I can do it for the first time ever in my life. I feel like I can make changes. I feel like this is working. And that, I mean, obviously it's making me super emotional. It was such a powerful moment of like realization that she was like, she came to me because she wanted to lose weight. But at the end of the day, what we achieved together was so much more, where she learned how to love herself. She learned how to heal wounds and to parent herself and to become and work on becoming the best version of herself. And as a result, she's like, life is fun again. I didn't know what I was missing until we got to this point, and I've been miserable for the last almost decade. And so moments like that, are what keep me going.
I love that you shared that because again, that's, same thing with podcasting, right? Even though I'm not a certified coach as of yet, but, meeting somebody through podcasting is just, seeing the weight lifted off their shoulders when they're sharing their story and actually healing, and even following up and becoming good friends with them, after, podcasting, or just, I've had several, coworkers, or in my cooking business, just clients, just, you never thought, making cupcakes would brighten somebody's day, or, allow them to get vulnerable and share and actually heal and open up, with just, a piece of cheesecake or what have you. And it's just little things like that, again, the goal is to, help people. And a lot of people are crying for help. I always say, be the guardian of the voiceless voice. Be a guardian of the voiceless voice, because there's a lot of people, some of the people closest to you that are screaming, crying, silently for help, for guidance, just to like, in your case with your client, just to feel that comfort, just to feel that love. There's multiple people that, didn't get that as a child, and we don't even know it, but deep down they're battling that every single day. And again, like I said earlier, you never know what people are going through. And what I want all the listeners and viewers to look in the mirror and really show yourself grace, one, but also realize that you have skill sets and you have gifts that can change the world, that could change other people's, not just lives, but their perspective on life. And that in tune can change someone's life. And then, like we said earlier, that reach one, teach one. You just impacting one person. You don't know who that person will meet next. And, you could have, exponential impact on, your whole neighborhood and not even know it. You could tell your neighbor, hope you have a good day, send them a card when something happens, or, just a thank you card for, hey, thanks for all you do. Just simple stuff like that can carry over and allow people to really have hope. There's a lot of people out there with no hope, no faith, mundane, like you said, just nothingness, just complete darkness. And, you know, as long as we, operate in our skill set and in our gifts that are given to us by God, then we can, utilize those, our expertise to, again, it's all about helping people achieve, where they want to be. And, you know, having those just different small steps. It's all the little things. I want everybody to just focus on the little things. You don't have to go out and buy a homeless person a house. You don't have to buy somebody's car on the side of the road. You don't have to buy them a brand new Lamborghini. You don't have to be, you know, extravagant with your well-doing. But again, always, each episode I have a different challenge for not just the guests, but the viewers and listeners as well as myself. And this episode's challenge, this is the homework for everybody. I'm including both of us. I challenge you to meet someone new in your day-to-day life, whether it's the grocery store, whether it's a coworker you've never seen before, or a new hire that you never met. And I encourage you just to give them one word of encouragement, one sentence of encouragement, and then go about your day and see how that'll affect your day-to-day life. You don't have to do it every day. Just pick one day. I'll challenge you just one day, whether you're at the grocery store, out getting some takeout, out at work, and just give somebody some words of encouragement. And you'll see how far that'll take society as we continue to help each other. And so with that being said, what are some last minute tips, suggestions that you would give to people that, are just looking to, get to that next level and, kind of, lay that foundation for their life, and also tell them where they could find your coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest tip I would give for really reaching that next level and making improvements to your life and going places with your life is to let yourself dream big. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what the next level is. And just somewhere along the way, I think a lot of us were taught, I think most of us were taught to dream really small and to think small and to just kind of get in line, do what you're told. But if we allow ourselves to really dream big, like have the audacity to dream big, then all of a sudden we're going to be able to start making things happen because now we know where we're going. So when you're trying to go somewhere and you're plugging into the GPS, you need to know two things. You need to know where you are and you need to know where you're going. So you have to know what your end goal is so that then you can start making the steps to get there. You have to know, like you mentioned earlier, you have to know your why. You have to know why you want this, why this is your calling. It can't be something else that somebody else has wanted for you. It has to come from within you. And so finding that is the best starting point. And then once you allow yourself to dream and have that aspiration to get there and that belief that you can get there, things are going to start happening. And you're going to be presenting with opportunities that were always there, but you never let yourself look at them because you weren't dreaming big enough. So that would be where I recommend everybody start. And you can find me, I'm really easy to find, just coachingbymonica.com is my website, Coaching by Monica on Instagram. Instagram's my favorite platform, but I'm on pretty much any platform, so you can find me there. You can also find me on my podcast, Notes from a Neuro Nerd, the science behind living your best life. Yeah.
Awesome. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful episode 2 of the brand new season of Darklaw Dominion Mental Health. It's been a wonderful episode. Again, encourage you to start with why, reach one, teach one, become the best version of yourself so you can help others do the same. And I didn't forget about the homework. The homework for everyone leaving here today is out and about. Just meet one person. And I want you to, again, give them words of encouragement. Just find someone new and give them some words of encouragement, and we'll see how far they can take us. It's been a wonderful, wonderful episode. I appreciate you, Monica, for your time. And you guys go ahead and follow her handles. And again, if you're a client, whether it's remote or in the Colorado, Boulder Springs or area, just make sure that you reach out to get wonderful coaching. And also, if you want to start a business and just need a hype coach, Monica's your gal. And so with that being said, until next time on Darklaw Dominion Mental Health Series Season 2, this has been Dominion and Monica Mangelson. Until next time, have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of Darklaw Dominion. Remember, it's in the darkest parts of ourselves that we often find the greatest strength. Facing the darkness is not a sign of weakness, it's the path to healing, growth, and reclaiming control of your life. If this series resonates with you, or if you're looking for more empowering stories on healing and reclaiming your power, make sure to follow Decree of Dominion on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. There, we continue the conversation on mental health, domestic violence, and relationships, offering hope and support. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows, keep seeking your truth, and keep fighting for your light.